Welcome to the English Matura with JB podcast. In today's episode, we're exploring the mysterious world of UFOs. Joining us in the studio are two leading experts who will be taking the lead for today's discussion. We hope you find the conversation insightful. And with that, I'll hand it over to them.
Imagine you're a pilot flying over the beautiful, snow-capped peaks of Mount Rainier in Washington state. It's a bright June day in 1947, and you're looking for a crashed military plane. But instead of wreckage, you see 9 strange, shiny objects darting through the air at speeds that seem physically impossible. That's exactly what happened to Kenneth Arnold, and his story didn't just make the news. It essentially gave birth to the modern obsession with UFOs.
It's fascinating because Arnold described them as saucer-like, and when the newspapers picked up the story, they used the term flying saucers for the first time. That one moment triggered a massive wave of sightings, over 850 reports within just a single month. It's why many people look at June 24th as the start of the modern UFO era.
And that's why we're talking about this today. Whether you're a believer or a skeptic, the phenomenon of unidentified flying objects, or UFOs, is a huge part of our culture. In fact, today is July 2nd, which is officially World UFO Day. It's a global event meant to raise awareness and get people talking about what might be out there.
It's the perfect time to dive in, especially since we're seeing a major resurgence in this topic. Steven Spielberg, the legendary director who gave us E.T., actually has a brand new UFO thriller called Disclosure Day hitting theaters this summer. It feels like the mystery is more alive now than it's been in decades.
Exactly. So, for you listening at home, maybe you're curious about the history or you're just excited for the movie. We're going to unpack where these stories came from, how science explains them, and why we're still looking at the stars with so much wonder. Let's start with that 1947 frenzy and see how a few shiny objects changed everything.
You mentioned that Kenneth Arnold sighting in 1947. But the reason World UFO Day is actually celebrated today, on July 2nd, is because of another massive event that happened right after. We're talking about the famous Roswell incident in New Mexico.
Right? The big one. People reported that a mysterious object had crash-landed in the desert. Rumors started flying immediately, stories of recovered alien technology and secret government cover-ups. Even though the official report later stated it was just a weather balloon, the legend of Roswell became a permanent fixture in American history.
It's incredible how those two events in the summer of 1947, Arnold in June and Roswell in July, created this UFO mania. It turned UFO hunting into a national hobby. People started forming clubs, and suddenly, you couldn't turn on a TV or go to a movie without seeing a flying saucer.
And if you go to the Southwest United States today, you can see that legacy everywhere. Places like Roswell have turned into huge tourist attractions with alien-themed shops, restaurants, and museums. They even have an annual UFO festival that draws people from all over the world.
It's interesting how the terminology has evolved too. For a long time, UFO was the only word we used. But lately, you'll hear government officials and scientists using the term UAP, which stands for Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena. It's a bit more of a neutral scientific way to talk about things in the sky that we can't quite explain yet.
It feels like we're moving from sci-fi stories to a more serious investigation. But to understand why we're so obsessed now, we have to look back even further. Humans have been seeing unexplained things in the sky for a lot longer than since 1947.
If you look back through history, humans have always tried to explain what they don't understand by telling stories about the sky. Long before we had telescopes or rovers, early humans looked up and saw the shapes of powerful beings in the stars. What we now know are just stars and planets.
I was reading about a really wild event from the 1400s in Nuremberg, Germany. Hundreds of people panicked because they saw what looked like flying globes battling in the sky before disappearing in a puff of smoke.
That sounds terrifying for the time. But historians today think there's a natural explanation for that, something called a sundog. It happens when ice crystals in the clouds catch the light and create bright spots on either side of the sun. It can look eerie and supernatural if you don't know the science behind it.
It's all about the tools we have to see with. In the late 1800s, astronomers were looking at Mars through early telescopes and thought they saw straight lines on the surface. Some people were convinced these were waterways built by an advanced Martian civilization.
And of course, today we have much better images. We know those canals were likely just a trick of the eye, or maybe giant dust storms. But the idea of Martians stuck. By 1938, when a radio play based on H.G. Wells' The War of the Worlds was broadcast, people actually panicked because they thought a real alien invasion was happening in New Jersey.
It shows how powerful our imagination is. We want to find meaning in the unknown. But as we moved into the mid-20th century, the unknown started to have some very real human explanations, even if they were top secret.
This is where the story gets really grounded in reality. While people were reporting flying saucers in the 1950s and 60s, the U.S. military was actually doing a lot of secret testing. They were developing new types of planes that didn't look like anything the public had ever seen before.
You're talking about things like the A-12 spy plane, right? If you saw that thing flying faster and higher than any normal aircraft, and you didn't know it was a military test, alien spaceship would be a pretty logical guess.
Exactly. A lot of these tests happen near a secret base in Nevada called Area 51. It's no coincidence that a huge number of UFO reports came from the Southwest, right in that same general area. If you lived there back then, you almost certainly would have seen something you couldn't explain.
So, a lot of those classic saucer sightings were actually just cutting-edge technology that was kept hidden from the public. But even after those secret projects were made public, the reports didn't stop.
That's the kicker. Between 2004 and 2021, the government analyzed 144 different UFO incidents. Some of them are incredibly puzzling. For instance, Navy pilots reported seeing spinning objects at 30,000 feet that didn't seem to have engines or any visible fuel source.
And these weren't just one-off sightings. They were seeing them almost every day for months. When the government group released their findings, they basically said they didn't have enough information to explain everything. They didn't say it was aliens, but they didn't rule it out either.
Even if we can't explain every light in the sky, scientists are taking the search for life very seriously. Astronomers like Michelle Kunimoto are looking deep into space, past our own solar system, to see if we're truly alone.
It's a numbers game, isn't it? Our galaxy, the Milky Way, has billions of stars, and scientists believe there could be as many as 300 million planets in our galaxy alone that might be able to support life.
It makes you realize how vast the universe is. But scientists often remind us that the aliens we find might not look like the ones in movies. It's much more likely that the first type of life we discover will be microorganisms, tiny things like bacteria, rather than intelligent beings with spaceships.
Right? We've sent rovers to Mars to look for those clues, and while they haven't found any Martians yet, the search continues. We're discovering new planets almost every day now, using telescopes that can see further than ever before.
There's this great quote from Kunimoto where she says that, "Are we alone?" is one of the most fundamental questions we can ask ourselves. It's that basic human curiosity that keeps us building rovers and staring through telescopes.
And that curiosity is exactly what filmmakers love to play with. It's why we're so excited about Steven Spielberg's return to the genre this summer. He spent his whole career exploring that fundamental question.
Speaking of curiosity, Steven Spielberg is finally back in the world of UFOs with his new film Disclosure Day. It's his first big alien sci-fi movie in over 20 years, and it's being called a spiritual companion to his classics like Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
The plot sounds incredibly intense. It stars Emily Blunt as a meteorologist named Margaret Fairchild who starts having these strange psychic experiences, like speaking in an unknown language during a live weather broadcast.
And she's not the only one. Josh O'Connor plays a cybersecurity expert who discovers that the government has been hiding proof of extraterrestrial intelligence for decades, going all the way back to Roswell. The movie is basically a race to reveal the truth to the world before powerful corporations can stop them.
What's really interesting is that Spielberg was inspired by a real New York Times article from 2017 about the Pentagon's mysterious UFO program. He said it rekindled his interest in the subject. He even worked with his longtime writer David Koepp, who wrote the screenplay through 42 different drafts to get it just right.
You can tell he's passionate about it. At the UK premiere, Spielberg actually said he believes we will discover aliens in our lifetime. He's much more optimistic now than he was when he made Close Encounters.
The cast seems to feel that way too. Emily Blunt mentioned that it's mathematically insane to think we're the only civilization in the universe, and Josh O'Connor suggested that maybe a discovery like this would actually bring people together instead of scaring them.
It's not just about the movie, though. Disclosure Day is coming out at a time when the whole world is talking about transparency and what the government might be hiding. The film explores themes of trust and empathy, which feels very relevant right now.
It's also a bit of an old-school production. Even though it's a big sci-fi thriller, they used real trains and real cars for the big stunt sequences instead of just relying on digital effects. Spielberg even insisted he didn't use AI to create the alien sounds. Emily Blunt actually used her own vocal training to make those strange noises herself.
That dedication to making it feel real is part of why people are so excited. The movie has already grossed nearly $200 million worldwide since it released in June. It's officially Spielberg's most successful film in years.
I think it shows that we still have that same UFO mania that people had back in 1947. We love a good mystery, whether it's The X-Files, Star Trek, or a new Spielberg blockbuster. These stories help us process our fear and wonder about the unknown.
And they encourage us to keep asking questions. Like Coleman Domingo, who's also in the movie, said, "When you look at the stars, you can almost imagine someone out there looking back at you. That sense of connection is really what it's all about."
So, if you're planning to celebrate World UFO Day today, maybe a movie marathon is the way to go. It's a great way to join the conversation that's been happening for nearly 80 years.
If you want to get involved in the festivities today, there are plenty of ways to do it without having to travel all the way to Roswell. Many people host skywatching nights in their own backyards. All you need is a telescope and some snacks.
You could also do a film marathon, starting with the classics and maybe heading to the theater to see Disclosure Day. It's all about having an open mind and enjoying the mystery. Some people even throw alien-themed parties with costumes and themed snacks.
And it's a good time to catch up on the latest news. The shift from UFO to UAP shows that scientists are looking at this with a fresh perspective. You can read up on the recent government findings, or listen to interviews with astronomers to see how the search for life is actually going.
For you listening, this is a chance to be curious. Whether you think those shiny objects Kenneth Arnold saw were alien ships or secret planes, the story itself is a testament to human imagination. We're explorers by nature.
Exactly. World UFO Day isn't just about seeing things. It's about feeling wonder and thinking about our place in the universe. It's a day to remember that there's still so much left to discover.
So, take a look at the sky tonight. You never know what you might see.
As we bring this to a close, it's worth reflecting on why these stories have stayed with us for so long. From the sundogs of the 1400s to the high-tech mysteries of today, the sky has always been a canvas for our questions.
Kenneth Arnold's sighting back in 1947 might not have an official explanation yet, but it sparked a global conversation that hasn't stopped. It reminds us that human curiosity is one of our most powerful tools.
And as Steven Spielberg shows us in Disclosure Day, the search for truth is often just as exciting as the discovery itself. He's optimistic that we'll find answers in our lifetime, and that's a pretty inspiring thought to leave you with.
So, as you head out into your day, or maybe out under the stars tonight, ask yourself, if we did find out we weren't alone, how would that change the way you see the world? Would it inspire fear, or would it inspire empathy?
It's a big question, but it's one that's well worth thinking about. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey through the unknown.
We hope this gave you a new perspective on World UFO Day. Happy skywatching, and thanks for listening.